You know, for decades, the global economy basically ran on one simple playbook: make things faster, cheaper, and more efficiently. Well, that world is over. We are right in the middle of what you could call a great rewiring, a huge, fundamental shift where that old playbook is getting completely torn up and thrown out.
The entire game has changed. It's not just about the bottom line anymore, not in the old sense. Now, it's all about survival in a world that feels like it's in a state of constant disruption. And what that really means is the very strategies that made a company successful yesterday are the exact things that make it fragile today.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the pillars of the last 30 years or so: hyper-efficiency, an almost borderless sense of globalization, and this relentless focus on driving down costs. But look at the right side. That's the new reality. We're talking resilience, the ability to take a punch and keep going; geopolitics, where a government decision can completely upend your business model; and security, both national and digital. So the big question is, how on earth did we get here?
Well, it all started when the system we built, this incredible marvel of global efficiency, started to show some serious cracks. What we always thought of as its greatest strength turned out to be a really critical weakness.
I mean, just think about it. For years, we built these massive, sprawling supply chains that crisscrossed the entire globe, all perfectly fine-tuned for just-in-time delivery. It was a masterpiece of optimization. But the moment things like trade wars, sanctions, and political drama entered the picture, those beautiful, intricate networks, they turned into massive strategic liabilities. What used to be a symbol of cooperation suddenly became a battleground.
And believe me, this isn't some small niche problem. A McKinsey survey found that a staggering 82% of companies say their supply chains are being hit by new tariffs. This isn't just a little ripple in the pond. It's a shockwave that's forcing everyone to completely rethink how they do business.
And this brings us to probably the biggest engine of this great rewiring: the fact that politics is now firmly in the driver's seat of the global economy. It's all being fueled by a powerful comeback of something called economic nationalism.
For the longest time, the thinking was pretty simple: just let the markets decide. But now, governments all over the world are stepping in, and they're prioritizing their own national interests way above the efficiencies of the global market. It's a shift that is completely rewriting the rules for everybody.
So, what exactly is economic nationalism? Well, it's a policy shift where the main question is no longer what's the most efficient for my company, but instead, what's the most secure for my country. It's a total change in perspective, moving from a purely corporate mindset to a national one.
Now, this shift isn't just happening in a vacuum. It's being driven by some very real and very big concerns. You've got industries that were hollowed out by the last wave of globalization. You've got intense security competition between major powers, the massive undertaking of the green energy transition, and just this widespread feeling that the benefits of the old system weren't shared fairly.
And if you want to see where this battle is raging the hottest, look no further than semiconductors. These little tiny chips, they power literally everything, from the phone in your pocket to the most advanced defense systems. And because of that, making sure you have a secure supply of them has become a top-tier national security issue, and it's completely overriding old-school market logic. And this isn't just talk either. Governments are putting serious money on the table. We're seeing these enormous investment packages like the US CHIPS Act, which is over $52 billion, and the EU CHIPS Act at 43 billion euros. This is big-time industrial policy, on a scale we haven't seen in decades. And it's a crystal-clear signal that we're moving away from free market ideals and toward direct government intervention to bring critical manufacturing back home.
At the same time, the very nature of risk itself has changed. Now, this chart looks complex, but what it reveals is fascinating. It's no longer local problems that are the biggest threat to a country's economy. Instead, the top risks are now global shocks, things like a change in U.S. monetary policy or a spike in financial volatility around the world. What that means is a decision made in one capital can create a massive tidal wave of problems for everyone else, making the whole system way more unpredictable.
So, with governments rewriting the economic rules and risk becoming more global and unpredictable, how are the companies on the front lines actually dealing with all this? Well, they're rewriting their own playbooks.
This is the one question that every CEO, every board member, every supply chain manager is asking themselves right now. How do we not just survive this, but how do we actually thrive when the ground is constantly shifting underneath our feet?
The answer seems to lie in a totally new playbook, one that's focused on resilience.
First, you have to map your suppliers. And I don't just mean the company you buy from, but their suppliers, and even their suppliers. Getting that deep visibility is absolutely crucial. Second, diversify. The old days of putting all your eggs in one basket are over. Third, you've got to invest in smart tech, like AI, to help you see disruptions before they happen. And finally, cybersecurity is no longer just an IT issue. It's a core business function, because today, supply chains are a prime target for digital attacks.
And this isn't just theory, it's already happening. We've seen a 22 percentage point jump in the number of companies that are getting visibility into their deeper supply chains. That's a real concrete step that businesses are taking to build up their defenses in this new era of risk. So where does all of this lead? Well, all the signs seem to be pointing toward a future that's more fragmented, definitely more complex, and probably more compartmentalized. It really feels like the dawn of a new world order.
And a key feature of this new order is the rise of what some people are calling trade clubs. You can think of these as blocks of countries that are politically aligned, and they're creating their own special, streamlined systems for trade with each other, building faster, more trusted highways for goods to flow between friendly nations.
So here's the really important takeaway. This doesn't mean the end of globalization. It's more like a transformation. We seem to be moving away from a single open global market and toward a world with several distinct, geopolitically aligned trading zones. Trade is definitely going to continue, but the paths it follows are being completely redrawn.
And all of this leaves us with one final massive question. The old system, for all its faults, gave us incredibly low costs and amazing efficiency, but we learned it was fragile. This new system promises to be more resilient and more secure, but that comes with a price tag. Building backup plans, moving factories, investing in security, all of it costs money. So, as we rewire the entire global economy, the big question we all have to think about is who ultimately pays that price?